Digital versus analog, gridded versus raw, sampled versus natural. What the actually matters then? In this video, I would like to encourage you to discuss what we forget about modern rock and metal production process. Over the past few weeks, we've been discussing different approaches to recording metal and modern metal in particular. We've talked about analog versus digital metal mix, comping guitars and polishing your performance up, grid aligning guitar DIs for that perfect modern tone, or leaving instruments unedited to preserve that real human feel. While all of these are viable approaches and techniques in our tool belt, some of these may have pissed you off. Particularly the ultra-modern polish that comes after heavy editing in modern music that may rectify human nature and make the tracks sound quite sterile. And that's something that many of you are not ready to execute. On the one hand, we got a sloppy recording with an easy fix with modern editing, and in the end it still kinda sounds sloppy. But on the other hand, we got a hyper-polished production which sucks the life of the musical material. Because guess what? These techniques have to be applied correctly within the vision and the message of the song in order to fit. In this video, let's dig deep into these techniques and really understand the reasoning to apply these, where these fit and where these absolutely don't, as well as why these may piss some of you off in the first place. Hey, I'm Dr. Mark Chubetskov, the mad scientist of metal, and I'm here to bring valuable information regarding modern metal production, recording and mixing. So mate, you please like, subscribe and follow me for more valuable stuff. Let's go! Let's aim to understand what actually matters during the production process for the modern music. And to me, look, what actually matters is the musical message, the atmosphere and the musicianship. Let's elaborate on this now and see how modern techniques allow or rectify the core of the music. Modern techniques to save the sloppy performance. Let's address the elephant in the room first. And that's something that is probably the core of hate in the modern editing or sampling, and has always been this. Pitch correction, sample replacement, DI gridding are all very powerful tools that can bring an average performance up to a cleaner standard. And I never encourage anyone to blame musicians who are somewhere in the middle of their journey and aren't performing that tightly yet. We've all been there. The danger here, however, is when musicians rely and are getting used to editing and fixing their sloppy performances in post, be it heavy drum editing, guitar comping and snapping to grid, or vocal pitch correction, and guess what? They stop striving for performing better and playing their best. That's when the band sounds like absolute crap live, but on recording kinda sounds good, sometimes not as good, you know. And to me, this is something that we do need to fight against and to promote the proper way of recording and working hard for the takes. Never relying on editing in post to save the lazy day, but spending the time, effort and attention to play our absolute top in the studio. Because ultimately, working hard for recording your music makes it stand out, creates the connection between your song and your listener through subtle emotions in your performance, and raises the bar for the music genre overall. And that's what we need to promote as a heavy community, which we're all a part of. Now, as we got the negatives out of the way, let's talk about the good things that modern techniques bring to the table. Modern techniques to achieve the sound and the feel, or call it atmosphere. Look, I used to hate the ultra-refined modern sound. I was very much against auto-tune, simple replacement, tight grid editing, insane gating and drum clipping. Preserving the real human aspect was my top priority when producing bands. And look, of course it still remains so. However, as I've been diving into the modern genres and listening to modern metal more and more, something kinda finally clicked for me. And you may be on the same journey as well, and you may finally understand what these modern techniques allow us to achieve. So here are a couple of examples. Say, got a heavy auto-tune to make vocals sound pretty and eerie. For instance, if you listen to Currents, their choruses are hyper-tuned and never in a subtle way. They stand out as being super-tuned. This stands out and creates a pretty tone for voice, and that pretty tone contrasts with heavy riffs and aggressive grooves and creates a two-tiered emotional message. And as another example, ultra-tight, sample-replaced gridded drums that create some pushed aggression. This differs from a cohesive old-school drum tone, which still sounds very aggressive, yet in a different way. Modern drums sound so tight that they almost pierce into your brain and really cover the space to get the message of the song delivered. Modern techniques to emphasize the musicianship. So one of the common critiques for modern tools are that bands on records do not sound like a live band. And that's okay, but when applied correctly, the modern polish simply brings forward the incredible musicianship. Tight guitar playing, amazing drumming that is hyper-emphasized with samples, making literally every hit amazingly present and clear. Go and try to perform these guitar and drum parts yourself, mate. I tried and I struggle. Bands like Make Them Suffer or Invent Animate shine on their live gigs and destroy these parts with ease, which makes it even cooler to understand that they don't quite rely on the techniques to promote their performance, yet just bring out the tone and clarity with them and their musicianship overall. And finally, let's talk about the modern techniques to emphasize the message of the music. In modern rock and metal, the musical themes typically cover messages and emotions that differ from traditional and old-school metal genres. We got some themes of mental health, complex relationship issues, or global, philosophical or ecological problems of the society. This ultimately creates a need for a more complex music to be done, to be executed in order for a structured emotional feel that is often layered to carry through. The incredible clarity is required for complex emotions to be read, and often most, there is contrast embedded in different layers. For instance, guitar riffs sound aggressive and complex with fast note progressions, and so do the drums, whereas vocals and synth create an eerie feel or add aggression in a different manner. Either way, modern refinement is what allows these messages to cut through and not get lost in the sonic mud. The clinical tone and the incredible separation for each instrument gives room for more complex messages, which to me is an evolution of music overall. To sum up, at the end of the day, all of the modern techniques remain more than viable and applicable if used not just for the purpose of saving a lazy or sloppy performance, but to serve the music. So, let's open up this discussion. Please leave a comment with your thoughts on this subject, what you think of modern techniques and whether to you they promote or not helping the music to evolve. And see you next time. Cheers!